Mr. Malcolm, and thank you for joining us in this interview. Please can you do a short introduction of yourself and your role in this project?
Yeah, hi, my name is Malcolm Durod. I'm an assistant professor and doctor at International Burch University, and we're one of the 10 different partners on the Coweb project. And I am actually, for my university, the project coordinator. So I'm representing our university on the project in a lot of our steering committee meetings, in our interaction with the other partners. And yeah, so I've been working on this for a little more than 2.5 years, and it's been a really interesting journey.
Okay, so what were your initial expectations at the beginning of the Coweb project?
Yeah, at the beginning of the project, I had worked with my dean on writing the project with our partners. And I was kind of a little bit thinking ICT, it's a little bit boring. We had just emerged from COVID at that time when we applied for this project, and we had been using Google Meet and Zoom, and there was a lot of fatigue from technology intermediated communications. So I was kind of like anticipating that this project might not be that interesting, or I wasn't sure what would I learn new. We use Google Meet, we use Zoom. I mean, what else is there? So I was kind of like wondering what the project would have in store.
So basically the main challenges before starting the Coweb project were mainly about the usage of Microsoft Teams and Google Meet and the whole.
Yeah, partly it was about the technology. I mean, I was pretty familiar. I've been doing this with different students in university since 2010, I would say. So that's almost 15 years, but until today. But when the project started, yeah, there are, mostly when you're running a project as a coordinator of a project, you have a team of people, researchers and finance people and other people on your team, and you have to get them motivated to focus on the project, to make the project sort of exciting for them. Like, they're going to learn new things, they're going to get to travel to different partner campuses. And you really have to do, as a leader of the team, do more like motivation of your teammates to engage on the project fully, as well as so you have to present the project to them in some meetings. And that was, I saw the looks on my colleagues' faces. I was like, ooh, this is going to be tough. I got to motivate them to be present on the project. And there were some nice, attractive aspects of the project. The partners were in Germany, and they were in Slovenia and in Italy. So there were some nice aspects, and our students would really benefit, and our university could really benefit from upgrading our skills and getting some capacity in this VCL area. So that was the real pitch that I gave them, and to try to overcome that challenge of their motivation. Coming out of COVID, everyone was really fatigued about online meetings. They're kind of like, oh man, we're back. We're happy to be back in person. Now we have a project that's all about distance.
Okay, so this is just the starting point of the Coweb project. On the other hand, we have the journey of the Coweb project. What were some of the key activities that stood out to you during the implementation phase of the Coweb project?
Yeah, I mean, we have 5 different work packages, from project management in the first package all the way to dissemination in the 5th package, and those 2 are kind of the administrative packages, and our partners were in charge of those. And in the middle, we have kind of the content of the project, and those project work packages were more like the meat of the project, let's say. And we were in charge as International Burch University of work package 2, which had a couple of research reports that needed to be completed, as well as a conference that we would host here in Sarajevo. So some of the highlights for me were working with the partners to build the needs report. We had to build from the 7 Western Balkan partners, what are our needs from a technological and administrative aspect to implement virtual collaborative courses. And then we did a survey, we polled our students and our staffs, and we compiled a report about those needs. And then we presented those needs at a conference called Mapping the Gaps in VCL in the Western Balkans. That was in July of 2023. And it was a very nice conference. We had some people from outside the university and some of the stakeholders who are monitoring kind of like digital literacy in the country. And yeah, we had some a follow-up report that also showed the European best practices, because the project is a capacity building project where our partners from the EU are teaching us how they've been doing VCL, or these virtual collaborative learning courses on distance over the years. And we are kind of new to this in the Western Balkans, but they've had a long history, over 20 years of doing this. And that second report about best practices was a compilation of the Italian, the Slovenians, and the Germans previously implemented projects and courses. And that informed us a lot about how we should approach the following two work packages, which are work package 3 and 4, where we ran local, regional VCLs, and we started to write our book about VCL. And then recently we finished the international VCL, and then we'll do a final conference in October. So those were kind of the major highlights of the project. We've completed basically almost everything. The book is now getting forwarded to the printer, and the conference is getting planned. And we're kind of in the process of disseminating more of the learnings from the project. And we wrapped up in July the international VCL, issuing some certificates to the students who participated. We had wide participation. It was really interesting. We had a very nice theme around Trans-Dinarica, which is a bicycle path through all the Balkan countries, Slovenia, Bosnia, Croatia, Montenegro, and all the way down to Albania. So yeah, we really had some exciting kind of finish to our project, I would say, that's planned and that already happened. And those were the memorable highlights for me.
That's great. Another question that I have for you, out of all of the Coweb activities, such as VCL, courses, training sessions, collaborative work, which one do you think had the most lasting impact and why?
I mean, for me as an educator, I learned a lot from my colleagues in the research report writing and in the book writing. But I would say as an institution as a whole, I was able to present the project at various intervals throughout the project. Academic conference, I made a presentation to different stakeholder groups, to our international audiences, Erasmus Plus visitors. And what I really learned was a big hit with all of those teachers was presenting the tools we were starting to learn about and use during our VCL courses. So some of these tools, I would call them like student engagement software. Okay, so we really saw how our partners in the EU were using student engagement software like Multimeter or Slido to make competitive quizzes and to engage students in the classroom in a different way, and as well online. Engagement is a very challenging issue. So this was a nice capacity building that I was able to disseminate and we learned about during the project, and we could use it in our classes right away. We could practice through the project's VCL courses, and it really added some added benefit to our teaching, which I think is really always important to be upgrading your teaching skills, upgrading your pedagogy and the tools that you're using, the digital tools. As we know, there's a big push to use a lot of different tools these days, and feel like those tools were quite easy to use, low preparation time, and students now, instead of trying to be in their phones for Instagram, they're in their phones answering a quiz. They're scanning QR codes that are presented to them, and there's a leaderboard going on about who's answering quickly and getting it right, and there's some competitive juices happening in the classroom, which in the Western Balkans, I'm from the United States, and education is seen more here as a collaborative sport, and in America it's seen more as like a competitive sport. And that's something I've always been trying to figure out. How do I get friendly competition going on among students to be excellent? And so I found that the tools that we learned helped us do that.
You said that your institution, the Burch University, had a research team for the Coweb project.
Yes.
In what other ways did your institution, so the Burch University, contributed to the project?
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, we will lend our facilities to the two conferences. The first conference, the Mapping the Gaps, and the second conference, we haven't named it yet or themed it yet, but we also have the second conference here in Sarajevo as well. And students like yourself may be able to visit and see us and see our wonderful campus and our infrastructure. I just think that in general, the support from the rector all the way down to my dean and department head was really tremendous, as well as the people in finance office, the people in other departments. At one point, we lost some team members on our team due to people rotating out of the university, and I was presenting the project to other faculties and gaining some team members from them. So I would thank my team members from other faculties who jumped into the mix and supported the project by either running a local VCL or helping to write one of the reports. So we had good teamwork and collaboration amongst the colleagues, and good support from the management, as well as our facility support for the conferences. So I didn't have any problem booking the venue for us or getting the restaurant reservations from the finance office, different small things, but that make a big difference at the end to the happiness of the conference visitors.
On the other hand, can you describe how this project contributed to change or innovation within your institution?
The university benefits as a whole as a way to think about the vision of the university in the future. Like, if they want to expand the number of students in their addressable market, let's say, of students, they will need to expand internationally. And not all students can live in Bosnia or in this region of the world due to the costs. And so they often are working to create distance learning programs. So most of our information from the project, I briefed the vice rector for education to that he's aware of the new pedagogical approaches, new tools, Microsoft Teams as a platform itself, that we would think to embrace that as a university-wide platform that we use. Currently, we use Google Meet because of cost reasons, I believe, but the advantages of Microsoft Teams we learned were about gathering data and statistics, about interactions and engagement of our students, and this can be used to improve each and every teacher's presentations and teaching skills. So I think if we do make a standalone distance learning program, we would want to standardize on Microsoft Teams. And these are my recommendations basically to the management, that we can't just use the cheapest version of software, and we can't just use the cheapest version of the most open source technologies don't always have the best data analytics, and that is how you actually improve as a university, as you analyze data and you make changes based on the conclusions from analyzing data. So yeah, I think that we hope to implement that DL program. We hope to use Microsoft Teams, and we are now disseminating the knowledge of the project throughout our university through different presentations that I make to different faculties, about the key takeaways, the highlights, and how they can implement those tools.
Was there any particular moment, student contribution or collaboration outcome that stood out to you personally?
I mean, one of the most interesting things was this idea of having, in the pedagogy of VCL, is one of the pedagogies is e-tutors, including like a research assistant or a course assistant on the virtual collaborative course. So these e-tutor trainings that we did in Dresden were quite exciting for some of our master's students who went there, and then later they practiced that skill that they learned through the trainings in their VCLs that they were shadowing. So I think at the beginning they were quite doubtful about that. They look at it as like a trip to Germany, and then they end up getting all this training, but then they actually end up having to commit to using that training in some of the VCL implementations. And the feedback from my e-tutor, Amna, she really grew, she learned, she didn't expect to gain new skills that she gained, she didn't expect to meet new people that she met in Dresden that were her peers as other e-tutors and other masters and PhD students. So I think that for me, one of the nice bright spots was the e-tutor training in Work Package 3 in Dresden for our master students. I just saw them grow a bunch during that time. I think they really came away with a lot of new skills and network, and they got to try it out in the real world.
How has being part of a diverse cross-European initiative like Coweb influenced your view on international academic collaboration?
I'm really positive on international academic collaboration in general, but I would say that in this case of our project, it could reconfirm that positivity. I learned a lot from my colleagues who are from diverse backgrounds in Albania, Kosovo, and all these European countries as well as Montenegro University. So I've just learned more about the culture, the backgrounds of my colleagues. Often were farther ahead in their career in terms of academic advancement, so I could learn from their experience as professors in terms of publishing and other aspects. So to me, it's just always enriching to work with people smarter than you in many ways, and people experience more in projects. This was my first time being a project coordinator in an academic institution, so I was a bit apprehensive at first. How will I manage all this? What will happen? And I'm one of the more younger colleagues on the team in terms of academic experience. But in the end, I just felt like they were all warm and collegial and helpful. So I just benefited a lot from the project.
That's great. And from the institutional view, how was it to be part of a European project?
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. I think there are a lot of reporting internally to update the leadership about the progress of the project, about the team and how it's functioning. And yeah, but I think in general, we are really focused at our university about applying a lot of projects, implementing projects as a way to capacity build, but also as a way to contribute the diversity of our university and our country that we're representing to the EU, Bosnia and Herzegovina. So I believe it's a kind of central mission of the university to be involved in this kind of internationalization process that they have going on. And they just see that as they're adding to the diversity pool of the partners, and they see that as they can learn and grow with new skills and ideas from the more advanced universities in the European Union.
What are your hopes or plans for future collaborations on similar projects? And are there any follow-up projects?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some good collaboration on this project. There is plans for other similar capacity building projects. And yeah, I'm hopeful for that we've represented our university as a strong partner and as a capable and trustworthy partner for future projects. We've been invited to one or two. Some of them weren't quite the fit yet with our university, but I think that I see that some of the universities are participating in other projects that we participated in before. So I know that there will be continued connections between these partners and major universities from the region in terms of entrepreneurial kind of thinking and technological, like STEM type of majors. And so I think we'll just keep running into each other over and over again. So Sarajevo is one of our partners in this. We do partner with them on many projects already, as well as University of Montenegro, as well as Epoca in Albania. We are kind of a sister university to you guys. So I visited there many times prior to this project, and now after this project, I see different ways we can collaborate in the future. So yeah, I'm very hopeful, and we've enjoyed being part of this consortium of universities. I learned about Dresden, one of the distinguished universities, or excellence universities, I think they call them in Germany. There's 13 of these excellence universities, and when I visited, I was really impressed by all their different labs and activities that they were involved. And they were really kind to us as a small Balkan university that we're here at the big Dresden University of Technical University. So these are kind of interesting connections for the future, I believe.
And finally, what message would you like to share with the next generation of students, educators stepping into projects like this?
I would say that you got to go for it and just try. It's one of the messages I always give, is just start before you're ready, and you'll get out of it what you put into it. And a lot of my students were a bit apprehensive when I introduced this as the course project this semester in my course, but I heard a lot of interesting feedback in terms of challenges to coordinate time zones, to work with people in different backgrounds and communicate clearly. But I also heard a lot of like overcoming those challenges and learning new project management skills, new collaboration skills, and and actually use the critical thinking and an interesting topic. Some of the skills they felt like they might have been weak in, they found they were quite strong in, like English language. Maybe they were a little apprehensive how as good is their English, but then they found themselves kind of rising to the top with English language, and they gained confidence working on the project. And I think that's what's happened to me and to other partners, is we all gain confidence in our skills and abilities in general as we work through different problems and overcome them. And that's just showing that it makes sense to keep reinvesting in yourself, be a lifelong learner, and to kind of, go for it in terms of when you get chances to join projects.
Okay, then Mr. Malcolm, thank you so much for being part of this interview.